Okay, so again, we are going to talk about international finance for this session. Basically, we just contextualize how finance, financial management, or corporate finance is working in the international context. But first, I want you to understand that the principles of finance are the same, whether we look at it in the domestic context or international context. The theories are the same, the principles, the way we do things are basically the same, except that in the context of going abroad, there will be additional challenges one would face when exposed to such operations. Now, for example, the best that I can give would be foreign exchange risk. If there are sales denominated in a foreign currency, sales denominated in a foreign currency, by the time you're going to collect the payment, it's possible that their currency depreciated in value. Bumagsak yung halaga ng foreign currency. So if that happens, the foreign currency's value goes down. When they convert it into the local currency, it might be lower in terms of our revenue, no? Lower than expected. We call that foreign exchange risk. The same is true when we are going to pay. It's possible that the foreign currency might increase in value. We have to pay more of our local currency. You get the point. But at the same time, you have to understand that there are additional opportunities. There are additional opportunities as well. Okay? Take, for example, most US multinational corporations have motivating reasons for expansion abroad. All of the following are valid reasons for expansion of international business by US multinational corporations, except to blank. Okay, I will give you 1 minute to answer. Okay. So all of the following are valid reasons for expansion of international business by US multinationals, except enter. Enter your answers, please. Enter your answers, please. Everyone, please enter your answers. Thank you, Jillian, Hillary. Okay, where's the rest? By the way, ba't ang konti natin ngayon? Bakit ang konti natin ngayon? Okay, there's only 23 of you. Okay, please be mindful of your attendance. Palapit na tayo, no? Palapit na tayo sa katapusan. Okay, very good. The correct answer is letter boy, except to protect their domestic market from competition from foreign manufacturers. Is it a valid reason to go abroad to secure new sources of raw materials? Well, yes, this is a valid reason. Minimize their cost of production. Example, labor cost. American and European companies would go to our country and India for lower outsourcing jobs. No? They would like to pay lower labor costs, and therefore they go to east. No, they go eastward to look for economies where labor is cheaper. Okay. At the same time, aside from securing the inputs and lower costs of inputs, these multinationals can also go abroad to market their products. Okay. We can purchase their iPhones or whatever products that the US multinationals are selling. Huh? Okay. So to find additional areas where the products can be successfully marketed. Okay. This is also a valid reason. However, you cannot protect your domestic market from competition from foreign manufacturers by going abroad. You want to protect your local market? Then why would you go abroad? Diba? Okay. Letter boy doesn't make sense. If any, you're actually triggering, no? You're triggering war with other manufacturers. So multinationals go abroad to source new materials, minimize the cost of production, especially labor, and find additional areas where they can sell their products. But letter boy is not a motivating reason. Now, since this is a finance topic, no, we should contextualize international business with the finance. Okay, we should contextualize it in finance. So when it comes to our concerns, it has to do with foreign exchange rates. Okay, so what is a foreign exchange rate? Foreign exchange rate is the price of the domestic currency stated in terms of another currency. Again, foreign exchange rate is the price of the domestic currency stated in terms of another currency, or vice versa. It can also be one for the other. Foreign exchange rate compares one currency with another to show their relative values. So, how is this rate set? Okay. When they say that one US dollar is 57, 58 pesos, why? Okay. How is this set? To give you a general framework, okay, we are going to talk about the international monetary system. Okay. To give you a framework. So, what is this international monetary system? The international monetary system is the system by which we set the exchange rates. On the left side, the most extreme left, we have the fixed system where the governments would set the rates. And on the extreme right side, we have a floating system where market forces would prevail. Going left, you have a fixed system where government controls the exchange rate. They have a monetary board to set how they exchange their currency with the US dollar, for example. And going right, the most extreme side is a floating system where the laws of supply and demand would be followed. Okay? Hinahanap natin yung market exchange rate. Now, if you will go to our text material, there are different regimes. No? There are different regimes of the international monetary system. I'll just give you this spectrum. Now, for most of the advanced nations, they are using a version of the floating system where market forces would prevail that is not pure. And therefore, we call this a managed floating system. Okay? The managed float. AKA, because this is not pure, the dirty float. No? The managed float or the dirty float. It is still market based, but governments may intervene from time to time. Okay? How do they intervene? Well, it's usually the central banks who have the power to adjust the supply of money. By adjusting the supply, you can tweak the market clearing exchange rate. Okay? So, do we let governments dictate the price or we leave it to the market? For most of the advanced economies, they leave it to the market. However, the version of the floating system that we usually use is not pure, but a managed float. They leave it to the market, but they control the market by adjusting the supply of the currency. Okay? Sige. Next question. Which type of foreign exchange system allows for governments to intervene and influence the exchange rates? 1 minute. Okay, I think that's more than enough. Enter your answers, please. It allows for governments to intervene and influence the exchange rates. Everyone, please enter your answers. Everyone, please enter your answers now. Hello? Okay, very good. Nakikita ko. Yeah, this is called the managed floating exchange rate. Yung government pwede siyang makialam dun sa supply ng pera. Okay? The governments through the central banks will conduct monetary policy where they adjust the supply of money, hence their currency. Letter A. In a managed floating exchange rate system, blank, go. Enter now. Please enter your answers. Okay, the reason why it's called manage is because there is a portion of the equation that is controlled by the government. So paano to naging manage? Kakasabi ko lang, the currency rate is supported by interventions by central banks in order to stabilize or alter the rates. Before 1971, our currencies are tied to the price of gold. Our currencies are tied to dollar and dollar is tied to gold. Nandun nakadepende yung value ng currency. But nowadays, this is no longer true. Okay? We are now having currencies that are free from gold, no? Free from being attached to the value of gold. So what happens is they can control the supply. The central banks can alter the supply and therefore alter the market exchange rate. Letter A. Okay lang? How about this one? 1 minute. Okay. Everyone, please enter. Methods used to maintain a managed floating exchange rate system. Enter your answers now. Enter your answers now. Everyone, enter your answers now. Please enter your answers now. Methods used to maintain a managed floating exchange rate system. Okay. So very good. The correct answer is C. Lahat yan. Basically, governments are not restrained from doing anything as a general rule. In today's world politics, you noted that governments can basically do whatever they want wherever you are. Okay? Governments are powerful. So, paano nila i-alter yung exchange rate? The government may intervene in the foreign exchange markets. If the currency is devaluing, they buy it so that it would prop up demand. Trade policies decreasing deficit, increasing the trading surplus. More on that later. Controls on the exchange rate. controls on the currency exchange. They can do that. Making domestic macroeconomic adjustments. I already discussed contractionary monetary policy before. These are all possible. The correct answer is letter C, all of the above. All of the above. Next question. Which type of foreign exchange system requires a country to maintain its currency at or near a benchmark value? Okay. Requires a country to maintain its currency at or near a benchmark value. 30 seconds. Okay, everyone, please enter your answers. Okay, if it requires a country to maintain its currency at or a ballpark figure, then that would be a fixed system. Letter dog. This would be a fixed system. So this time, you already know the international monetary system, the regimes by which exchange rates are being set. Okay? So later on, aralin ninyo yung iba't ibang regime. Basically, they fall on that spectrum. Ang pinakamahigpit na sa left side, ang pinakamahigpit na version, no local currency at all. Nakadepende lahat sa foreign currency. And in the extreme right, we leave it to the market. Anyway, try nga natin kung marunong kayong mag-convert ng exchange ng currency. No? Marunong kayong mag-convert ng currency. Venkatram purchased a pair of dress shoes in Italy for 131.25. If the spot exchange rate is $1.5621 per euro, what's the equivalent cost of the shoes in American dollars? 1 minute, go. Okay, enter your answers, please. Enter your answers, please, everyone. For Venkatram, ano ang sagot ninyo? Everyone? So, the cost of the shoes is 131.25 euros. Should you multiply or should you divide? Do anything that will remove the currency that you would like to remove. Gusto mo siya gawin American dollars, edi ang gagawin mo, i-multiply mo. By multiplying 131.25 by the exchange rate being set here, you would be able to eliminate the euro sign. Naka dollars per euro siya, so it's basically dollars over euro. You may eliminate the euro sign, leaving behind the dollar. That would be $205.025. $205.025. Very good. The correct answer is letter A. Very good. The correct answer is letter A. Okay? Exchange rate quotations. Let's talk about exchange rate quotations. Now, most of the text material that we have, no, marami sa mga text material na meron tayo, they are American-based. Okay? They are American-based. Considering that they are American-based, you have to understand that when they are talking about themselves, they pretty much assume that everyone is American. Nakuha nyo? Para bang laging American yung basis, no? American yung basis, which is actually true in the real world, no? The world economy runs around the US. So that in the future examinations, especially the USCMA examination, you're not going to have any difficulties in adjustment. We are going to assume for the purpose of this lecture alone, no? For the purpose of this lecture, that every one of us are US citizens. Huh? We are US citizens. Okay? So what is your citizenship? You are an American. And let's assume that you are using the US dollar as your currency. Direct exchange rate. When we quote the exchange rate in the direct way, we state how much of a domestic currency per 1 unit of foreign currency. We are to state how much of the domestic currency for every 1 unit of the foreign currency. Of course, the indirect exchange rate is the opposite. It states how much of the foreign currency per 1 unit of the domestic currency. Ilang domestic sa bawat isang foreign currency. Direct exchange rate yon. Ilang foreign sa bawat isang domestic. Indirect exchange rate yon. Assuming that we are Americans, this is an example of a direct exchange rate. This is an example of a direct exchange rate. Okay? So 1 is the foreign currency. In this case, we have euro. 1 euro, that's 125 US dollars. We call this the direct exchange rate. $1.25 is to 1 euro. Meanwhile, indirect exchange rate is stated something like this. Okay? Indirect exchange rate is stated something like this. Sorry. Erase, erase. Okay. Please ignore my last example. Okay. Here you go. So this is the correct one. This is the correct one. Please ignore my the last thing that I showed. In an indirect exchange rate, 1 is our local currency. Again, we're assuming we are Americans. Okay, one more time, ha? In the direct exchange rate quotation, 1 is the foreign currency. Amerikano tayo, ha? Assuming Amerikano tayo, our foreign currency here is euro. 1 euro, how many American dollars? That's direct exchange rate. In an indirect exchange rate, 1 is the domestic currency. No? 1 is the local currency. So our currency is the US dollar. 1 US dollar, gaano karaming euro? Malinaw ba? Okay. Direct exchange rate, 1 is the foreign currency. Ang isang euro, magkano sa dollar? Ang isang yen, magkano sa dollar? Ang isang rupee, magkano sa dollar? Meanwhile, for an indirect exchange rate, on the other hand, no, yung ating dollar, our very own local currency being 1, how many is it in different foreign currencies. Okay? Again, we are answering this. We are illustrating this from the point of view of an American. Okay? Sige. 1 minute for this one. Answer now? Answer now? Which of the following is an example of an indirect exchange rate from an American perspective? So the correct answer is A. One is the US dollar. So if you have one domestic currency, how much of the foreign currencies? That's an indirect exchange rate. Okay? Malinaw? Okay, very good. Almost everyone. No? Basically, everyone has replied letter A. No? Everyone has basically replied letter A. Very good, everyone. Next. What about this cross exchange rate? What do we mean by cross exchange rate? It is any exchange of any two currencies that are not the official currency of the country in which the code is published. In practice, we are using the American perspective. Any exchange rate where US dollar is not involved, that is a cross exchange rate. From a Filipino's point of view, on the other hand, no, if we are Filipinos, whenever the Philippine peso is not involved in the rate, that is a cross rate. Okay? But in practice, we are basically using US dollar as the basis. Okay? Sasabihin naman kung kaninong perspective. Kagaya nito, from an American perspective. Next, which of the following is an example of a cross-exchange rate from an American perspective? 30 seconds. Enter now. So, binanggit naman, no? This is clear. From an American perspective. So, kung saan hindi siya kasali, yun yung sagot. Answer? Enter your answers, please. This is letter dog. 115 yen per 1 euro. The US dollar is not involved here. So from an American perspective, wala to. Okay? Sige. So I'm going to cut the lecture here. Next meeting, we're going to talk about international trade. Okay? The exchange of goods and services between countries. So let me first stop the recording. Okay.